What's going on today, YouTube? So today I'm going to be showing you the Q&A I did with my client Simon. I guess to start, I want to show you his transformation because I definitely want to shout him out because he crushed it during the Healthy Flesh prescription the past 12 weeks. So I think here's his front transformation. He was 188 pounds like 12 weeks ago, and he's working in the pharmaceutical industry, working heavy hours during the week, and he really just committed to making that change. I think you just saw his side, the back transformation. In 12 weeks, he lost about 20 pounds, and he lost, this is a first for me working with clients, 7 inches off of his waist. So in addition to losing 20 pounds, 7 inches came off his waist. I believe he went from a 39-inch waist to a 32. So I was very proud of him. He really crushed the program. And this comes with, again, that commitment to making that change and just, again, following a decent plan that's going to get you from point A to point B. So again, I wanted to shout out Simon. He crushed it during the program, and I'm excited to share with you guys his story. So enjoy this Q&A. I'll be doing more of these, I think, on a weekly basis now, pretty much. If you follow me on Instagram at Hejnasty, usually Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be talking to one of my clients who finished the program. And I think these are very valuable to people who want to make that transformation, see where people are coming from with their backgrounds, because I've been in this game 9 years, so maybe some people can't relate to me, but in 12 weeks, just committing to making a change, 12 weeks later, seeing how far you can take that. So here, without further ado, here is Simon's story.
Good. All right. Well, first off, I just want to welcome. This is Simon, everybody. He's been in the program, just finished the Healthy Flesh prescription. We've been working together the last 12 weeks. So, yes, I take full responsibility for those guns that he's rocking. But, no, honestly, he's been putting in the work. I can only set the plan. He puts in the work. But, yeah, just give a quick introduction to, I guess, who you are. So, yeah, your name, what you do for a living, and then also, like, what were your goals for the 12-week program?
So my name is Simon. I work as a researcher in the pharmaceutical industry, and my goal was to slim down. So I was teetering about 188, going to between 190 and that. So after a checkup with the doctor, I was like, oh, this is probably the wake-up call that I needed, so that I had to pursue something and manage my weight. So I decided to go and do back to the gym. So this is prior to joining the 12-week program. And after a while, it's like, oh, Kevin reached out. This is a bit odd. This isn't exactly how I imagined this to be, but, you know. No, I promised you that I would tell you this story. So it's like, okay. I mean, I feel like I'm a targeted audience, but we'll play with it and see what he has to say. That's literally what came into my mind. And then it's like, what is something that a nutritionist can do that I can't find on the World Wide Web? And that's, again, I'm a tech geek. And also, as a scientist, you become very logical and rational about what is myth, what is facts. And so, but I'm very happy and glad that I took the chance to try. And also, results showed, so I'm a living proof, I want to say.
Awesome. Well, thank you for blowing up my spot that I slid into your DMs. But everyone, please, no one tell Nicole that I slid into Simon's DMs. She may not be a fan. But again, thank you so much for responding and getting started in the program, because I'm very happy for the both of us, because I think we did have a great coach-client relationship, because your results were honestly incredible. And I can't get anyone results if they don't put in the work and follow the game plan with discipline. And that's 100% what you were able to do. So my next question for you, and what I want to get into, is just tell us a little bit, like, how were you with your fitness before the program? Like, how did you feel? Maybe what was your energy like at that point?
So a lot of the way that my original workout regimen was structured was more strength focused. Like, a lot of the heavier lifts in this particular program that I went through with you was not as difficult for me in that sense. It was easy to achieve. And also prior to that, I did do track and field for a little while, and then so cardio was there, but after a while it kind of took a deep sink and didn't do enough cardio after that point. So, but it was very easy to get back into the swing of things, kind of in that sense. But the thing is, most of the stuff that I did only showed very short-term progress, not so much results like this. This is rather astounding. But part of that is due to diet. And that was kind of the biggest piece for me in terms of this entire program. So, and also getting into the mentality of what must I consume to reach those goals? How much was my caloric count? How do I hit my macros? And so forth. So that's been a very enriching experience for me as just someone getting started in this kind of field.
Awesome. Yeah, I do appreciate that. And also that kind of reminds me, my mom had a similar situation. So she was going to the gym literally like 2 hours a day, 14 hours a week, or 10 hours a week. And she ended up, I think she had some kind of injury, and then she started tracking her macros, and she was actually one of my test clients way down the years ago when I first started coaching. She ended up dropping 35 pounds when she stopped going to the gym. So many people think that weight loss is like, oh, I got to hit the treadmill, do like an hour elliptical every day. But like, honestly, your appetite's going to respond to that. It's going to be increased. You may eat those calories back, and you're just spinning your wheels for nothing. That's why training, especially if you've made some gains over these past 12 weeks. So even so, if like you're putting that time into lifting weights, muscle mass is going to be with you for the long term. But putting those hours in cardio isn't always going to get you assured results.
No, I agree. I definitely am in that mindset now where cardio definitely helps you consume more calories, and that's kind of what I've taken to heart. And I don't feel as bad, oh, I did a cardio session now. It's not to say that you should fill in those calories. Like, it allows you some more flexibility than what is already set for that particular day. And then for me in particular, it works out because my life isn't as simple as you. I'm sure I'll go into later on tonight.
Yeah. 100%. You got hey man, like I'll admit, you got a very busy lifestyle. So like you're always on the go. So definitely doing that 80-20 principle, focusing on the 20% of our choices that get us the results. That was something I found like very effective for you. And later on in the call, we're going to talk about just how deep we had to dig, especially for you, your macros, the cardio, which that's going to be fun to talk about. But I guess we already kind of covered this, but the next question I like to say is like, how did you find me? So I guess you can...
So I found you actually through YouTube from my really long recollection. And then that's how I found your Instagram. And then as a result, I became a follower. So following that kind of trend, I mean, yeah, I think you mentioned before that your YouTube channel doesn't draw in as many people as your Instagram presence. But then at the same time, I watch videos more. Instagram is kind of a second thing for me. It's more, I am a photographer, so that's partly why I use it. But at the same time, it's more, before it was just landscapes and portraits for the longest time. So it definitely was very helpful to be able to get two different views from not only one platform and then see your life play out.
I got the low power mode going thing, so I was like, no, don't die. All right, so we are. I think I missed like the last 5 seconds.
It's like.
Can you hear me good?
No, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I don't know. The volume sounds a little different. Maybe I pushed the speaker in, but I think we're good. All right, cool. So
you are a little off sync, but otherwise, I can hear you fine.
Okay, as long as you can hear me fine, then we should be good. But I hope that 10% power mode does not like cause another one of those. But so we talked about like how you found me, and also like that is something I've noticed too. And just me, like I've always been consuming a lot of fitness content on YouTube, and I feel like on YouTube you can get to know someone a little bit better, their tendencies, if they are very what's the word? Someone like is trustworthy through like YouTube. You can kind of get a feel for people more often, or if they actually know what they're talking about. So I do feel like that's a good way, and I just also like showing people what I do on a day-to-day basis on like my own nutrition. To like, especially for you, it gives you some strategies. Pita pizzas, enlightened ice cream. Those are some of the cheat codes that you can pick up from my full days of eating. And there's a full another one where I eat 7 pints of this on Enlightened's story that's up today. So
I did eat one last night, but it's definitely not filling for me, but enough to get me through and hit what I need to hit for the day and call it a day.
Gotcha. So my next question for you is, why did you decide to get started in the Healthy Flesh prescription like 12 weeks ago?
So again, partly was due to health, and also just a little background in my family history is that there's a line of diabetics in my family, and so the longer I don't solve this problem of ongoing overweight to near obesity is going to be problematic for the future for me. And so best way to do it, just suck it up and deal with it and change your lifestyle. There's really no good way to do it. Saying that you'll do it is one thing, but actually acting upon it is another. And I've learned a lot of that last year or so after I moved. So it's been a work in progress.
Yeah, and definitely committed. And I know obesity, so a lot of times like obesity, BMI, like some people blow out of proportion. But like when you gain lean body mass, I'm almost obese and I'm relatively leaner. So BMI isn't always the 100% story. I like to think more of the waist circumference. And I mean, we'll get into it later, but I do want to shout you out that you lost 7 freaking inches off of your waist, going from a 39 to a 32. So definitely want to show you some love with that. That's definitely a good move.
It's very weird when you used to wear mediums and mediums don't fit you anymore, at least in terms of shirts. It's like, oh wow, I can actually not even squeeze into a small, I can actually fit into a small. It's
awesome. So yeah,
eye-opening.
big changes there. And then I want to talk about, so like during the 12 weeks, so what did you learn? First I want to talk about like maybe about fitness. What did you learn? Maybe about fitness. I think we talked about it, maybe controlling your nutrition more so, but anything else?
So a lot of it, I think, what I used to do was more segmented workout regimens. So it's more like, okay, I'm going to do an arm day, I'm going to do a leg day, and then some. But then I think what this workout plan was more toward whole body workouts consistently throughout the entire duration of, which is like, I definitely like it more. It really made me annoyed after a point with some of the exercises, partly due to the fact that my gym has not fixed it for 12 weeks since it was broken. But aside from that, it's like being able to feel sore in the evening and then going in the next day feeling kind of refreshed about, oh, I did it. I did what I needed to do, move on. The next day's coming because I work out in the evenings. So I learned a lot in terms of how to be more open to doing full body workouts because you taught me how to do squats very well. And I'm very proud of it. I'm very, I don't think I ever would have hit 2 plates. So
Good.
that, like I said,
it's for that. We did a lot of like upper lower splits, so to get that high amount of frequency. And the reason why I always try to make that a goal is just because a lot of research that's coming out is hitting the same muscle group 2 to 3 times instead of just trashing it 1 day a week is going to get you better results, especially if you're not taking those extra vitamins. Which most of my clients I don't think are. And just getting that increased frequency, your body's going to be able to recover from it. You can hit that more often. And then that's why I do arms pretty much every day. And that's responded very, very well for me. And I think even you may have put on like near an inch onto your arms.
Yeah, I think that was another thing you mentioned is frequency. So especially if you get in the mindset, again, the reason why I say that I did a lot more strength training than I did high interval training was because I tend to hit the range of 8 to 12 reps with a higher weight. Again, that's what I used to do. And for up to a point, it was good. But then after going through this, where it's like, oh, 20 reps, this is a struggle, but we're going to do it. And also the introduction of how to do supersets properly was very beneficial because I think it's the same concept of just doing high intervals and at least what I used to do, but then in a more controlled fashion so that I'm not there for 2 hours, 3 hours every day.
So we definitely try to make those very efficient, use supersets, and the sets of 20 just gets a lot of volume per set, which is something that's going to get you growing. The next thing I want to say is, like, we talked about, like, what you learned in terms of, you said, like, nutrition was big in terms of weight loss, your training, more frequency, more full body. But I guess, what did you learn maybe about yourself? Like, did you learn anything about yourself throughout the past 12 weeks?
I actually enjoyed, so for me, I didn't run into as many problems with mindset and confidence only because I don't dislike going to the gym. I know that many people have this, like it's a struggle to get yourself to the gym, or just fit it in your day-to-day life. But for me, I really didn't have an excuse when my gym is right next door to where I work. I purposefully did that. It's a little bit more of a struggle on the weekends, but otherwise, I have no reason not to go. I give myself no reason not to go.
And now you tell me,
so
we had some Wi-Fi issues, but you live right next door.
Yeah. Well, I don't live right next door, but I work next door, and so if I just plan everything well in advance, which is probably the most key part of my day-to-day life, is making sure I get everything I need done in a very segmented way, then it's really not that bad, honestly.
Awesome. Great. And then, so it's good that you knew, like, you found out that I guess maybe you're really disciplined. You're able to get things done more so than maybe you had thought in the past. I know a lot of people, especially, and the crutch kind of mindset is very common before you undergo really like committing. Just saying like, oh, I can't, my genetics suck. And look at me, like 10 years ago, my genetics surely suck. But like, you can always make that change. Thermodynamics, you're not special. Some people, and we'll get to it, Simon is not the most special when it comes to thermodynamics. But definitely, like, you can always respond to a caloric deficit. Weight training is always, as you get stronger, you can build muscle, and you can really be impressed with where you can take your physique over a period of time. So next question I want to ask you, Simon, is where would you say you're at now, like, emotionally?
I'm very happy. Like, from the start, again, because at the beginning, I was definitely skeptical like everyone else. And when they start off with the program and they have like, okay, I'm investing in time. Time is money. And then what will be the results of that time that I put into? You have to put value into it. And that's what you do as day to day. So, and then for me, I'm a bit more of a risk taker than most people I want to think about, at least I've met. And so going straight ahead and saying, okay, I have the ability to do so, so why not? And lo and behold, I'm standing to you in like 12 weeks later, looking very different than when I used to. And again, just more confident and also being able to enjoy my life a lot more than I thought.
Good. And then also, like, I always want to bring up, especially with, wait, can we talk about it now? Oh, no. Yeah, we can talk about it now a little bit, but your end macros. And so one of the goals that I made for Simon very often, we check in on a weekly basis. We have a face-to-face video chat. We talk about like weekly goals, wins, struggles. And then we always set goals for the week. So something that I was always making for Simon was like, fit something you enjoy into the next week. So donut, enlightened ice cream. How do you think that affected, like, I guess the overall mindset, or like what effect did that have on you?
It actually made it a little fun, honestly, because you had to fit it in somewhere. And like for me, the easiest time to fit it in would be the weekends because I didn't have to, I could do whatever I want then. I'm not stuck to the desk 9 to 5. But it was a lot of fun. I think though you have to be very strategic in what you do for that kind of category, but I don't ever feel guilty. I've learned if I know roughly how big my meal is going to be for the evening or like for something like that, I would plan in advance. Okay, do I need to consume this, or can I just fill myself up with something else and then that isn't high in calories and deal with it for up until a point, so not like pass out, which has worked for me. Again, like being able to fill in on little things throughout the day and then spread it out. Breakfast tends to be a little sparse on my end. It's usually a protein bar. For some people, it's a protein shake. And then lunch tends to be heavier, but sometimes I just go simple there and then go for a heavier dinner with friends. And, I think that's more enjoyable. And just being cognizant of that is the important and difficult part.
Exactly. Being in control, knowing like, oh, if I go over, then I'm going to be gaining weight maybe in the long term. If I'm under, then probably going to be in a good spot like for weight loss. So that I do want to really cover it. And the reason why we made that a goal is just because with the calories that you were at, you kind of had to eat very quote unquote clean. Well, we like IIFYMers always make fun of the people eat clean, but you can track your macros and eat clean. Especially if you have to eat cleaner, more vegetables, more lean meats, the lower your calories get. So I'm going to share this, and this shows you how much you sometimes have to dig to get that transformation. It's not going to be easy. We don't all run on 2,000 calories a day, and Simon is definitely a clear-cut showing of that. So Simon's and macros, because we bring it down over time, we had 30 grams of fat, 125 carb, 160 protein. That is a total calories of 1,410. And that's for a 170-pound guy. Sometimes you just got to dig. And this is in addition to, what, 2,000 calories of cardio?
Yep.
It's not easy, guys. To make a transformation to Simon, again, and I can't say enough, like this guy worked really, really hard. I can set the game plan, but he had to push himself to really adhere to that and get that transformation. I will say, onto that same token, if you do run on 2,800 calories, like if you are blessed like that, your appetite's going to be a lot higher. Like you're not going to get full as much. Your body kind of has a higher appetite because it just is higher turnover. For Simon, 1,400 calories is going to feel different than me, who are maintaining around 3,400 calories. I would waste away. So
no, it definitely made, so like the hunger creep was real, like near the last few weeks of the program. But like for me, it was just self-motivation, really, is telling myself, okay, do I want this or not? I already put myself into it. So then if you want something back, you're going to have to earn it. So in my head, deal with it. There are ways to cope if you're really, really hungry. Or it's like, are you really hungry? That's another question to ask.
Are you hungry or are you bored?
Yeah. So for me, mental work causes me to be very hungry, and I mean that's the reality of the job that I do, and also my extracurriculars that I do as well. So as a result, I don't really sit in one place for too long, and food definitely is more of a comfort. Back then when stress was high, nowadays it's like, no, I don't really have that much to stress about. So food doesn't really hold the same water as it used to. And oddly enough, I really can't consume that much like I used to. It is not just kind of feeling a little disgusting, but at the same time, it's just my stomach really cannot fill up like that much food.
Yeah, and even like you'll notice like a lot of people when they get a big weight loss transformation, their metabolic rate does slow down to an extent, and you kind of get used to eating low calories. Some people with big weight loss transformation that I've worked with, it's kind of hard getting back into a surplus because they're like, I'm so used to cauliflower rice. I'm so used to like 4 times a day. So used to like my tilapia or like really lean like meats. Sometimes bringing that calories back up and getting to normal like intake, sometimes that's an adjustment too. But what I want to ask you now, Simon, is because especially I think this is going to be valuable for a lot of people cutting out there, and we really had to push it to get 7 inches off your waist. So what I want to say, like, what was your go-to meal that really helped you adhere to like these kind of macros? What was your go-to meal that you were eating very consistently?
Chicken and salads. But this is only because at work it's the easiest thing I can get a feel of, and not only be able to measure out, but also when you do it consistently, you know roughly about, okay, this is how much I'm consuming, and then okay, what else do I need to make and build a meal that fits for me, instead of avoid the pizza, avoid the subs, and avoid the global. So we have a global station, which allows it's a rotational daily food area that offers a wide variety of things. And at one point, I recall the food was comfort food. It was very difficult to get away from that one. But either way, just being able to stick to, okay, I have my salads, what do they have for today? And then, churn through. I'm eating the same meal every day for me isn't that difficult, because growing up in the family environment that I was in, when rice is a staple, it doesn't get old. So that is at least for lunch. Dinner was more a variety, I would say, and that's a little harder because for me, I definitely became a very popular customer at Chipotle because it's very easy to build a bowl that fits your needs and fit within the macros that you're aiming for that particular day. And so I went there a little too frequently. Yep, Chipotle and salads. Nothing special, really.
Yeah, Chipotle, for a lot of my clients, Chipotle is the go-to, and I'm always very surprised that the leanest meat available is the steak, which
it is
surprising.
But I mix it up. I don't just go downright steak, or it's mostly chicken for me still. Steak once in a while, but because after you drop my fat content, I really couldn't go the steak route anymore because it was just too much. So chicken it was.
Gotcha. Yeah, myself, I'm a carnitas barbacoa double meat kind of guy. And barbacoa is pretty lean too, even though it's sitting there in oil. But I don't know. I don't know if they're telling the truth, but I'm for it. So next up, what is your go-to vegetable throughout the program? Because again, anyone cutting, when your calories get really low, you're getting hungry. Vegetables, I did a little series of posts and getting your vegetables up because they're very satiating per calorie, a lot of water content, a lot of fiber content. So Simon, what was your go-to vegetable?
Broccoli.
So bro of you.
I'm very, so that, and also edamame. So edamame is high in protein. It's a little high in the caloric count, so fitting it in is a little difficult, but you can get a bag of frozen ones from Costco or the local grocer and then heat it up, then consume. It's not filling. It's more, it definitely, I can see why it comes across as a snack, but it does the job when you need it to fill something, especially on the protein and when you don't want to drink protein shakes all day.
Shameless plug. Black Friday. I had that still up there. I had to shameless plug it.
No, I saw.
You don't want to have like 8 protein shakes a day to hit you had 160 grams of protein. So what is that? That's like
it is hard to hit that. It is very hard to hit that amount.
It's really hard to hit, especially when your carbs are a lot lower and your fat is very low. Because even chicken breast has fat, so it gets. Yeah, we really had to push.
So you really don't have many options at least near the end for me. At the beginning, I was like, oh, I can take it easy. Surprisingly, it was a little harder to fill up to those points, but at least knowing that you have the room to finagle things, it's like,
And that's why I'm not a fan of a perpetual dieting cycle or anything where like someone's trying to maintain these cutting macros and doing a once a week cheat day, because it's like those 6 days are going to suck. We at least were getting results while the suck was happening, but some people they're making it suck 6 days a week and then binging on like Saturday. That's not a cycle that's going to be long term for you. So Simon, like you'll probably be able to maintain 1600, 1700, 1800 and then probably be satiated there. And that can be more lifestyle instead of like depleting yourself and living at 1400 and then having those like weekends where you're just off the rails. But my next question for you is just like, overall, what is your best tip to stick to, I guess, dieting and diet, like 20 pounds down type macros when your metabolic rate has decreased to an extent and you really got to push things when you're eating this amount? What would you say is your best tip to adhere to those kinds of end game calories?
Drink a lot of fluids, because whether or not your brain is tricking you that you're hungry or not, you may be just very thirsty. For me, unfortunately, caffeine has been the way my work, like I revolve around caffeine. But if caffeine's not your thing and water is fine too, it's the healthiest option you have and it's essential, right? So you don't have to have a protein shake to fill yourself up or add calories, unnecessary calories when you don't need to. And especially, again, when my jobs tend to be like desk work, having something to drink is probably the easiest way to get through with the day and not think about, oh, my stomach is whining to me, but but I can't leave my desk because because, you know, you have to get your work done. And also, you already had lunch, so deal with it.
Suck it up, Buttercup. I like that.
Literally, there's nothing I can do at that point. Or if you're really good about it, you can segment your lunch and consume, again, sparsely consuming your food, so that you can consume a little bit, and then knowing that you're going to be hungry later, then eat it then. I mean, you're not adding more to your caloric count, you're just spreading it out.
Yeah, and especially like where you're at, like I have to say, like, if you are losing, like, for me, when I lost 20 pounds, when I went from 230 to 210, I was hungry towards the end. And kind of like when you have, we'll say 2,000 calories, and that's like what you have to eat to cut. If you're losing a lot of weight, you're probably going to be hungry at some point in the day. But again, you have that flexibility. A lot of people like intermittent fasting. Don't have your first meal till 2. You're hungry at the beginning of the day because you're in a short-term short-term deficit. So at that point, like, you are losing weight, but like the calories you eat later when you're not hungry just aren't going to be as in much of a short-term surplus as you were in a short-term deficit. So you just kind of pick when you're going to be hungry. And what you did is you would save maybe something you enjoy, a bigger dinner later, so you always have something to look forward to. I'm not someone who's going to go to IHOP and blow all my calories at like 10 in the morning and then just live on nothing. I would rather look forward to something. And I remember you had, again, a lot of Atlantic ice cream to cap some days off.
Yep. And also eggs. Eggs are your friend. But I still haven't even finished the last time I bought a lot of them. But it's just being able to know, oh, it's very quick to boil. It's like 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how hard boiled you want it to be, and whether or not you want to consume the yolk or not. If you can't fill it, because obviously the yolk is not necessarily good. So because the egg white is primarily the protein, so you can just make a lot of egg white and go to it.
True. All right, so that last question before we start taking some questions, and I actually see a good amount of questions are being put in. Someone said this is too complicated and they had to leave, so I'm sorry, Simon, that you are dropping some knowledge bombs that not everyone can handle. But what I want to get into next is definitely, what is your biggest tip for just people that are working full-time that maybe want to improve their health? Like, what would be that one tip that maybe that can help them get to that calorie deficit or improve their health?
If it's possible, just go out more, honestly. Walk. For me, so I live in Boston, and it's a walkable city. So being able to physically get off your feet and don't depend on, we can't depend on the public transportation here. So it's faster to walk, or find something that you enjoy, a hobby or an activity that doesn't seem like a chore, and then just go with it. I was lucky that I started the program in the fall, which allowed me more time outside. Now that we're going into winter, I'm less so, but you can still do it. Just bundle up.
There you go. Yeah, it gets really cold up there in Boston.
Yep.
So next, what I want to do is I'm going to go over some questions that have been asked in the comments down below. So again, if anyone has some questions for Simon, drop them down below. I know somebody said specifically, he was like, Simon, what's up? So he said, did you have days when you were either over the diet or exercise and just wanted to stop? Were you all in day 1 to the end of 12 weeks? This is a great question. Thank you, Patrick Wilmore.
So there are days where you're going to go over, but then in my head, I do my best to aim for the exact amount. It's really hard to, and you have to be very, very diligent, especially, but if you work like I do full time, and then also on top of other things in your life, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. And so being able to you have to convince yourself that you can be flexible, but how flexible is the question? And then knowing, okay, then you add in all the little things like, was I able to do cardio at my gym session, or pull numbers from other places during the week? Because the main goal is that you hit not only your macros for that day, but also your weekly caloric count as well. And so you can be flexible in that sense. And I think that's kind of what I've been taught throughout this entire 12-week program.
Awesome, awesome. And yeah, I want to add on to that like, yeah, like even me, like I'm 9 years deep into this. I could say I have fitness ingrained into my lifestyle, but there's sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, dude, you're still good. Low battery again. So we got 10%. So if this does cut out randomly, you know what happened. So I wanted to add to that yeah, I've been training 9 years. You would think that I have this, I'm perfect at the gym all the time, but I wake up in the morning sometimes, I roll over, I don't want to get out of bed. I have literally 10 alarms set in between 4 a.m. and 4:30 just because I know myself. Number 1, 2, and probably 3 aren't going to get me out of bed. And you always have good days, bad days. I go to the gym sometimes, get under the squat rack, I feel like crap, I just walk out. And that's my rest day for the week. I have a flexible rest day, and I think highly recommend people take that kind of approach. Not a set in stone rest day, but when you feel like dog crap, it's going to happen. So definitely like be a little flexible. And especially as Simon said, like your caloric intake too, you're going to screw up. I screw up. We all screw up. And it's just like understanding a strategy to still see progress when you do mess up one day and pick it up the next day, or have some kind of way to get you back on your feet after that. So another question that somebody asked, FEL1858, he said, how big are your arms now, Simon?
When I measured them on Monday, they were 13 inches.
13. But they look a lot bigger because you're now a lot leaner.
Yes, and also I went to the gym tonight, so it's deceiving.
A pump. That's the way to do it. So what the? Okay, I read that wrong. So another question is, can you use sweets as a pre-workout? And I read that instead of sweets, I thought it said sweat, but they said, can you use sweets as a pre-workout?
I mean, if you use the PE Science pre-workout, it is pretty sweet to me. Yeah. So I would say that yes, in that sense. But so sugar is primarily carbohydrates, and then consuming too much, you're going to hit a very quick you're not going to sustain yourself throughout the workout. You'll just want to sleep or just give up after a point. So I wouldn't recommend heavy carbs. My recommendation, for me at least, was go in with some protein, or like knowing that you're going to go to the gym, say like maybe a protein bar, protein shake, or in my case is the pre-workout to get myself going, get myself nice and warm and cozy. I didn't do that until the very end, but I started to do that because it became difficult to do the lifts like that I was used to, obviously because I was losing weight, but also it was getting cold and caffeine wasn't doing it for me anymore. So I needed something a little bit more of a hit. So that and caffeine, more than enough to get me through an hour full workout and still with enough energy to not die by like 9 o'clock.
Yeah. And I'll add on to that, also a client in the program right now, Lauren, so shout out to Lauren. She did link me something where you can make pre-workout gummy bears with unflavored gelatin. Somehow I think you melt that down, you add in pre-workout, and then you can make it into gummy bears. And that's a way to get your pre-workout in. So I guess technically, oh, that was sweet. But I thought that was really interesting. So maybe that could be something you can experiment with. But for me personally, pre-workout, you probably would want caffeine or a nitric oxide booster. Carbs are going to be good to an extent. A lot of research does show getting them in the short term, a little before your workout, does improve performance. But as Simon said, if you just have like a straight up thing of sugar, it's probably you're going to be depleted towards the end because, again, that's just in and out really quick. I used to do Starburst during my training just because my stomach is very, very long. It just digests better. Different strokes for different folks, man. So let's see. Do you recommend combining CrossFit and gym routines in the same week? Maybe you can tackle this in the way of like, how did you implement your cardio and strength training?
So, directly to that question, I think it's possible. So, for example, the first thing that comes to mind is what swimmers do day to day. They do dry land, they do also wet land, and it's the same as pumping out a lot of cardio and for them in the water, but then also strength training as well. And it is possible, but being able to balance it because you're going to be very, very tired. And in my case, to begin with, when I started adding the cardio tacked on to the weight training that I did, it was definitely an adjustment, only because body's not used to it. But it's like, oh, I remember doing cardio back in the day. Bones are aching. So I think that playing it out is the most important part for this type of schedule. It's rough. I don't know where you would put it or do which one first. That's up to you and when you can fit it in. But hey, sky's the limit.
Exactly. And then I'll add on to that. So the question was, yeah, like CrossFit. So I know a lot of CrossFitters, they work out three. So respect to CrossFitters. I know they get a bad reputation, but I have a lot of respect for them, especially the elite tier ones. They work out 3 separate occasions during the day. So like a morning 6 a.m., like a 12, and like a 6 p.m. workout. You pretty much resting in between those, so you're nearly fully ready to exert yourself again. So they're separating strength training, cardio. So that's one way they do it. In my opinion, especially if we're just talking strictly cardio, for body composition, do low intensity, and I would recommend do it after your strength training. So I always tell all my clients, do not do your cardio right before strength training, because for me, cardio, I just want you to burn X amount of calories. Don't care how fast, don't care how hard. I just want them burned. But in the instance for strength training, you need progressive overload to see results, to see those gains. That's performance dependent. So I want you to be able to fully exert yourself with the weights, see progress there, and then cardio, just like knock it out at the end. Like, it doesn't have to be too hard. You do something you enjoy.
That's kind of what I did, though. I did my cardio at the very end because it worked for me. But again, we're all different. Can't say much to that.
Exactly. And let me just knock out 2 quick ones. I've been told that gummy bears after a workout are a good fast carb. What do you think? For that specifically,
I mean, I love gummy bears. I have nothing against them. I've had quite a few myself, and then just knowing to back off when I need to. If they're homemade and they're made in a certain way that you know what's in them, I think that's fine. Go at it, because I mean, I'm a supporter of it, depending on whether or not you can consume gelatin or not. Yeah. So that's really
that, especially like if we're talking just like having your glycogen replenished and stuff. Like weight training isn't going to deplenish your glycogen that bad to the point where you're not going to fully replenish in 24 hours. So not necessarily do you need that short-term action of like carbs, but as long as you hit like a total amount, you're in like the 24-hour basis between your next workout, you should be completely replenishing glycogen. Although if you are in a caloric deficit, maybe not 100% restored, but to your best of your ability, it's not acute sense with strength training. If you're running marathons, you're going to have to worry about that on the acute settings more so. So
Carbo fast.
Yeah. Last question to close this out. Someone just asked, I mean, it isn't my last post, but how much do you weigh now, and maybe how much did you weigh 12 weeks ago?
So 12 weeks ago, I weighed 188 pounds. And then now I weigh 169.6. My main goal was to hit 160. I'm still far, but I'm going there. I teetered into the 168, and then I went back up a little bit, probably due to the way I had food that day. So I went a little lower or slept in late, who knows. But I'm going there, and I anticipate to hit there before calling it quits, and then, slowly bulking my way up in a lean bulk.
And getting those gains. So
Goals.
So I think that's everything that we want to cover. Thank you guys so much for the questions that you've asked. Also, huge thank you to you, Simon. Thank you so much for, one, trusting me with your fitness goals and getting you to that next level you wanted to get to. And then also for taking the time to join us on this Q&A and give your experiences and helping other people in similar situations to where you were, and now that give them that hope that they can get to where you are. So thank you so much for inviting me. No problem. So also, no, it was a lot of fun. Awesome, thank you. And then thank you for everyone for watching. Should have another one of these next Tuesday, and this should be going up onto my YouTube as long as Simon says okay. All right? Yep. Awesome, guys. Everyone have a good night. Yep, have a good night, everyone.